I have gotten some great news! Well, somewhat great news. The great news... Oh, mind the reflection. Oh, it's quite dark. This is why I got a flashlight. Well, as you can tell. Anyways, great news is that at least one of the trucks is completely finished. Yes, this is great news. Although, it's not exactly the best way. But they're damaged derby trucks, so what do you expect? So, completed roll test. Front, the front doesn't exactly like to turn that well. The rear tires, somewhat. Although there's a lot of cotton and thread throughout the trucks, especially to hold the hood down, both on the front and the back, right over here or so. And then on the bottom, it's a bit more complicated. It's a little bit difficult to point out. Let's try to see if moving the light helps any. Somewhat. Okay. Let's point this out with a toothpick. So, right here, you can see the end point of where this piece was tied off. This loops around the springs. Yes, there's springs. That loops around the tires through here and back around. This piece of thread holds both these together. There's only one steering rod right here. It goes along, and oh my god, this camera quality isn't the best. Annoyingly, but oh well. Yeah, this single rod that goes along right here is used to help hold the steering rod and the engine in place, because I don't really have anything holding the engine in place. But who knows? But oh well. I guess those are a couple things I would like to point out. And then, kind of sort of realistically, when you lift up the front wheels, they point inwards on the bottom. And then when they are flat, they sit down normally. Isn't that pretty cool, huh? I mean, unrealistically, the tires are out wider than the fenders themselves, which design flaw, but oh well. You got the radiator blocking the light. Whoops, radiator right here, and the radiator support. I don't want to cut the thread in order to lift up the hood, but to show you what it looks like on the inside. But thankfully there's holes on the inside of this engine, so you can kinda see. You can somewhat see. But yeah, this is the only one out of the 21 trucks I'm making so far. I have more original versions. Of course, I haven't provided much in the way of update videos because I just didn't really feel like, I guess, because this isn't a full-time channel. Oh well. Anyways, I have more original Demolition Derby trucks off to the side. There's like almost 50 of them that I made years ago, although I've updated multiple times. And then this is like sample trucks, and this is the first out of the 21 that is fully completed. Annoyingly, I've gotten to a step where last night when I was working on these, where I was doing the final touches. By what I mean is putting the front wheels and front axles in. Let's see. You can kind of see it right here. That's very blurry, but I hope you can see it well enough. So right here. Okay. Right here. This rod right here is the outside cover, like a shell to hold in the axle in place. This this small brown thing is a piece of circular cardboard that's used to cap off the end of the axle. And then there's another one that's a bit more white that you can see right along here. No, is it the black one? No, they're about the same size, this one and the other one. But the axle cover. So there's this sheet of aluminum. If I can get another sample that looks like this at the side view, very thin, obviously, but and then this hole you can kind of tell is there. That's used for the steering rod to hold it in place. I guess this is what would be my version of a steering knuckle, I suppose. But anyways, this thin piece, you can see where a chunk is cut out, like in a square shape on the left side of what you're looking at. That's because that gap is cut out so I can have two of the covers things like this. It's just a hollow tube that's not a really specified length, but just long enough that I would, for my needs, like so. Really simple, just like a square or rectangle and rolled up, used by with a toothpick to help get the shape. Fits along the axles, capped off here, clipped off, and then used these to flatten it out so it doesn't come off, although it probably could in a demolition derby. Anyways, you take, what I was planning on doing was I was going to have one hollow thing here and then another one attached to each other, and then those two were attached to the opening of the thin pieces of metal that are in there, where the axle slides through. The only problem was on the outside of those, I wouldn't have enough room for like a guard thing, the brown circle thing I was trying to point out. I wouldn't have enough room for an outside one on the inside of this tire if I had the axle cover there. So what I had to do is, and I'm in the process of doing, is I'm going back, disassembling the front assembly, or suspension steering assembly, in order to remove one piece off of both sides. They're on both sides because it's symmetry. And this one is the first one I just completed before starting this video, but by removing it. And the reason why I removed it and I'm adding a guard thing there is because the front wheel, although still wobbly, it's already it would be even more wobbly. But no, like here, you can see it's rolls perfectly, or not exactly perfectly, but fine, well enough. Instead of like sorry, like a fishtail that just goes side to side as it moves in a certain direction. Though fortunately, I've come across that problem, although among many other problems. And with the way the bumper is, you can see here the just a bumper design I've decided to use right here. It's bent inwards a little because I cut it on the bottom in a little bit, just enough that goes back to the frame rail or so on both sides, so when the tires steer or somewhat steer, it wouldn't push into the bumper as much and lock up. Although I did make the tires a little bit bigger than they probably should, because there's not much space. I even had to cut off from the fenders, not a bit annoying. But yeah, that's all for now. For now, I just wanted to give an update and show what it looks like when it's done. About like design for the paint and all. I may or may not, likely not, paint these trucks. One for originality's sake, like a throwback to my other Demonstrator Derby trucks. I'm gonna probably add numbers to the doors and such, but I just also don't have paint, and I'm not really confident in painting without making a mess of things. Although it's not the hardest thing to do, it's just not the thing I would want to do. So yeah, the trucks are done. Well, this one even has you can kind of see it right back there, the leaf springs. It does suspension, although it only has leaf springs, it doesn't have actual springs. In the front it has actual springs, which I had to buy off eBay for some of them. You can kind of see it in there. Right here. And then a toothpick in the middle. So yeah, that's truck 1 out of 21 completed. And yeah, oh, that was a bad idea. Move it back, okay. Alright, here we go. That's truck number 1 done. I'm probably not going to show the other 21, or other 20 trucks. But yeah, there you go. Awful time to yawn. My bad. Sorry. And have a nice day. Yeah.